treacle.
Hello you wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and today I'm going to be doing a retro review of the debut Disciple EP from the Frim, Better Late Than Never. Yes, believe it or not, this was and is the first project of tracks Nick Frimmel released on Disciple. Odd because by the time this EP came around in December 2016, it genuinely felt as if he'd been with Disciple for an age. The strong affiliation with Barely Alive, a Disciple mainstay, was one thing, remixing for them in 2014, and lined up to release the jaw-dropping collaboration Origins not long before this EP came out. Probably my favourite idea of all time, and which will never see the light of day, so big rip. But beyond the Barely Alive links, it came down more so to the fact that Frimmel released, in my opinion, not only his best track, but the best track of the last decade in bass music on Disciple, that being Duct Tape. A track I've eulogised and waxed lyrical about enough by now for you to all know exactly what I think of it. So much so that it's become a meme on the channel, which definitely says it all. It could just be that I personally love Duct Tape so much to the extent that whenever I thought of him, the Frim, I thought of Disciple almost instantly. You know, to me, this was just another Frim Disciple collection coming around. However, if we're to take the title of the EP literally, it's as if to say, finally, putting out a new EP, long overdue, very much so, and on Disciple as well. So it likely is just me that thought he was a Disciple fixture by that point. In the years prior, Duct Tape aside, Frimmel had built his name up with a slew of other BROSTEP hits. Nightshine with Excision, Swipe My Swords, Bassline Skanker, Thank Mr. Skeletal, remixes here and there, as well as EPs for Firepower, his self-released Christmas EPs as well. But this was his debut EP release on a big label, and with the vast improvements that he'd made in such a short space of time, both with his ideas and his production, an extensive collection of tracks was all that his burgeoning fanbase wanted, and it was certainly worth the wait. On the back of Duct Tape, with Better Late Than Never, the Frim laid bare the potential for modern dubstep, and BROSTEP in particular, to not take itself too seriously, and to comedic effect. Such is the manic, wild, dizzying, freakish delivery of it pretty much front to back, presenting a knockout 5-track collection that cemented him as one of the top modern dubstep producers, whilst also having some great experimentation to boot. Kicking off with the utterly glorious and alarmingly in your face Somebody's Cream with Barely Alive. Glorious for the introduction and any kind of iteration that we get of it as the track goes on. An incredibly grand magisterial opening with the fervent chords, the spacious percussion, the leading melody as well, which just has to be one of the most underrated in BROSTEP ever. Way to open up and tell a story, fucking hell. All the right notes are here, it's just a perfect entrance to the track and the EP, and it just sets us up expertly for what's to follow, which is some of the most full-throttle robotic filth that has ever come from either the Frim or Barely Alive, and that's saying something. Both drops being like collections of mini ideas, with each one trying to level up on the one before it as the track gets wilder and wilder, but without ever feeling like it's getting out of control, you know? It's off the wall, it's bombastic, very much so, undeniably, but the flow and the pacing of it, the dynamic between these sounds is, I think, the thing to glean from it most. Going from pure blast of acidic dubstep to a more staggered layout with a bit of a skip and a jump, before each drop kind of devolves into these mind-melting, squelchy quivers of sound that leave you completely dazed and confused, yet nothing feels out of place. Like a big industrial monster throwing everything it can at you, the range of sounds here is truly first rate, making for a very large and emphatic opener and collaboration, and going a long way to satiating the hunger that people had for the Origins ID from these two. Following that, we have track number 2 on the EP, and my personal favourite, Duct Tape Dub. For me, the epitome on Better Late Than Never of the Frim, once again showing everyone that BROSTEP is a style of music that doesn't always have to be taken so seriously. This particular cut being framed and centred around yeah, you guessed it, duct tape. Not only that, but the main sound that we get here in the heaviness sounds distinctly like a demented yapping duck. So we've got duct, we've got duck. With an opening speech about the history of duct tape and a wealth of tape-stretching samples in between each dubstep section, I mean, if you needed a reminder that modern dubstep can be extremely quirky and actually outright hilarious, then this is 100% it. The bounce of this track is executed impeccably, the dynamic again between the sounds just creating a bit of emotion, very infectious and quite difficult to tear yourself away from. more so as it goes on. One of my favourite moments here actually is the brief quiet midsection that we get where all the sounds are kind of isolated, and it's just a bit of a chance to realise how much is going on here and how he makes it work. Ending with the sample, "I duct tape your ass today," and honestly you do just feel like you've been swarmed by a giant robo duck. Just with a mountain of duct tape continuously being wrapped around you, there's no escaping its wrath. The middle tune is "Don't Do It," another super loud attacking BROSTEP banger, the introduction of which being another hugely underrated one in BROSTEP overall. Kinda like a fluorescent snake worming its way along the ground, such is the glow of the main sounds used and the way they wind beautifully up and down. The musicality of it is perfection, got a bit of a chugging feel to it as well, kinda surging below. It just couldn't be more engaging as an opening sequence. The dubstep here, whilst not the most inventive ideas, I think does still showcase Frimmel's range within the genre. The explosive drops continually backed up by the quickfire stabbing sections, so yeah, it's quite the ride moving in and out of these different tempos. Another where the second drop takes it up another level to become wilder, more ravenous, which I think is seriously impressive given how much happens in the first drop. And like I said, without having the most gripping ideas by any means, but still, for the arrangement, the quality of sound, the diversity on that front as well, it's undeniably exceptional. And ultimately we get Frimmel dipping into the D&B format with the vacuous Rhesus Thesis. Damn, that's difficult to say, isn't it? Which is essentially exactly what it sounds like. Another track here that isn't particularly memorable drops-wise, but which is great for hearing the Frim style in a completely different format. All-encompassing in nature with the wavy, rubbery wubs skirting over the frenetic drum and bass beat. The quickening of the first drop with the added percussion and the breakdown for the second drop are both individual chef's kiss moments, and it's just further proof of the fact that the Frim understands flow and pacing like basically no one else in this scene. Relentless, no doubt, but with a definite measuredness to it that keeps the presentation clean and under control at all times. Now you might be sat there thinking, that is the final tune, why did he call it the penultimate one? Well, according to Spotify, that'd be true, but with the SoundCloud version, we get a bonus track, Body Movin', which can't be ignored, in my opinion, in evaluating this EP overall. Frimmel toning down the collection while still exhibiting enough gnarliness to keep his aesthetic fully intact. It's a jumpy, West Coast BROSTEP kind of blend using the main vocal from the Beastie Boys' Body Movin', and yeah, you know, it's still clearly him, but it's just another interesting way of unleashing his design. Both drops go on for just a little bit too long for me. I think he does just about enough to keep the ideas engaging, but definitely could have done with a bit of cutting just to make it a bit shorter and make for a more cohesive cut. That being said, Frimmel's knack for formulating a great flow is arguably most apparent here, and the selection of sounds on show is again stellar. The wubs and all the kind of different pitches they go through, the plethora of different vocal samples, the more gurgly stuff as well that we get in the second drop. It's disorientating, but in the best way. Overall though, that track not the most amazing finish, but damn, for the most part this was very much the extensive Frim project that many had been craving so much. One that does have its flaws, I think peaking conceptually with the first three and not quite reaching those heights following that. On that note, there's potentially room for saying that the track listing doesn't quite work and the dubstep could have maybe been spaced out a bit more. But that aside, we get for me one of the most high quality EPs to come out of the BROSTEP era, no doubt. Frimmel showing not just with one track but over a whole collection how dubstep could be not only heavy as fuck, but also super quirky, hilarious, and melodically very on point, all at the same time. The production is immaculate, front to back. I can't think of a sound or moment here that feels distinctly out of place. The management of flow and pacing throughout across all the different types of dubstep, and the drum and bass, and the hip-hop leaning closer is astounding and really keeps you locked in. With the general sound quality being so rich beginning to end, it constantly feels like it's kind of bursting at the seams. And I think rarely ever did a BROSTEP EP feel quite this refined. Oh, and all the percussion is absolute perfection as well. And even though not every idea here is amazing, I think some of them are truly fantastic, and some of his best in my opinion. whilst those that aren't quite as good are still very solid. The kind of range and off-the-wall wackiness that would be welcomed in the mostly loudness war dubstep climate of today. So yeah, a top EP, and honestly I feel a little bit ashamed having placed it at just number 47 in my top EPs of the 2010s list, because it's one that's grown on me a lot, and were I to do it again now, that list, it would likely be a bit higher as one of the most captivating and memorable EPs of that decade. But there we have it, my retro review of the debut Disciple EP from the Frim. Better late than never. Hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it and putting it together, very much so. But yeah, what do you guys make of Better Late Than Never overall? What do you make of it in the context of dubstep music? Is it one of the best of the 2010s for you as well as it is for me? And which track of the 5 is your pick, and how well has it aged over the 5 years it's been out? Drop all of your views, thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're yet to, hit the bell along the way, and all the necessary links are down below. You got your social media accounts, Twitch, Discord, everything Nawtystep associated. Go down to the description, check it out, and yeah, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know, and I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace.